Federal regulators have authorized a follow-up booster for those who are at least 65 years old or those who have weak immune systems. Now, this comes in an effort to provide additional protection from the virus. But are U.S. consumers vaccinated out when it comes to COVID? Well, Yahoo Finance took a Twitter poll to ask if you've received a COVID-19 vaccine booster, would you get another Omicron-specific booster shot? Of the 641 polled, 71% said no, they would not take another booster. Well, some of the leading biotech companies are in Washington, D.C. right now at the World Vaccine Congress to showcase their next-generation vaccines that are revolutionizing infectious diseases. GeoVax Labs is at the center of this, and their CEO David Dodd joins me now. Good to see you, David. Thank you for joining me. So I want to first, get a pulse on some of the conversations that you're having at the moment, because a lot of people, investors, are showing an interest in the healthcare space, but biotech stocks have been beaten up over this past year.
Indeed, they have been. They've been beaten up harshly over the past year. In fact, most of our peers were furloughing both programs and people while we were able to add $37 million to our balance sheet and accelerate and expand 2 phase 2 clinical programs and all. So, for some, it's all about being able to separate yourself and to talk about the value that you're hoping to be able to deliver.
And obviously, we're coming at the tail end of the pandemic for most of the world here. So I want to ask you about this, the Yahoo Finance poll. A lot of people not interested in taking another booster at the moment, but talk about your technology, because you're producing a one and done. You have clinical trials for a one and done COVID booster shot. Tell us more about that.
Sure, and thank you for asking. Well, we have a vaccine that's in phase 2 clinical development as a COVID-19 vaccine. It has several attributes that differentiate it very strongly from the current vaccines, specifically the mRNA vaccines. That's from Pfizer and Moderna, as well as those from AstraZeneca, as well as Johnson & Johnson. The difference is that our vaccine utilizes as a platform an existing vaccine, which makes it unique because it enables it to have a stronger immune response in general, which provides you the opportunity to deliver a single dose vaccination. And we've been able to demonstrate that in numerous instances. We're also specifically focusing on the patient populations who are individuals with compromised immune systems. You mentioned this in your lead-in. There are about 15 million people in the United States who, due to having various blood cancers, they could be renal dialysis patients, they could have sickle cell anemia, HIV, et cetera. But these patients, their bodies have been ablated from the ability to mount a response to traditional vaccine stimulation. And that's where it becomes critically important to be able to address both the antibody side of the immune system, but even more so the T cell or cellular side. And that latter part is what we do differently than the others. We do the same in terms of targeting the antibody, but we have a very strong focus on T cells, and that enables us to provide greater durability and a broader breadth of immune protection. And we're actually presenting here at the World Vaccine Congress the initial results of our vaccine in a direct comparison to the mRNA vaccines among blood cancer patients to demonstrate that there is indeed a difference, and it's in the favor of the type of vaccine that we have.
Would you be able to give us a little preview of that? Because a lot of people do have vaccine fatigue, so they're really looking for why should they be doing this? What is the next generation looking like?
Well, I think vaccine fatigue is real among all of us. I think, even those of us who don't want to admit it. I mean, we've had 3 long years of dealing with this pandemic and 2+ of dealing with vaccines, et cetera. And we've seen continuous more boosters, while at the same time, the durability is waned greatly. We actually have a phase 2 clinical study underway right now among healthy individuals where these are individuals who received an mRNA, so either a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine as their initial vaccine, but as a booster, they're receiving our vaccine, which again induces a broader, more durable immune response, because we believe it will provide a greater preferred booster and not be required to have to keep coming back as frequently. We're looking at 6 months to a year, and the current boosters are lasting at best 3 to 4 months.
And David, obviously this COVID was a wake-up call for preparedness for the next superbug, for example. And we know that you met with the biodefense team with the White House officials. They talk about what transpired there, and really, what does the next phase of vaccines? What are you trying to address with the next phase of vaccines?
Sure. Sure. Well, fortunately, our government and other governments of pretty much democratic countries around the world are all highly focused in recognizing that there are threats out there. Call it bioterrorism or call it biodefense. And you're right. I recently did have the opportunity to be in the White House meeting with various representatives there about what do we need in the next generation of vaccines and other technologies from a biodefense standpoint. You're hearing a lot in the news about the Marburg virus, about Ebola viruses, et cetera. Those are at the top of the list from a biodefense standpoint. They carry fatality rates of 50 to 90%, depending on the strain. And that differs from COVID-19, which had has a 1.5 to 2.5% fatality rate. These are very deadly viruses that we're concerned about that could be weaponized. And because of that, we need platforms that can deliver as closely as possible, be extremely safe, be able to be highly efficacious, but also to the degree possible, be able to provide not only in a single dose, but also in a non-frozen state. Much of the world happens to be in environments in which they can't deal with highly frozen state vaccines. And we're right in the middle of that.